Yeah, 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 Urko. Hey, 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 look.
Yeah, what going on? I go by the name of Steph Urko, and welcome back to another episode of Millennial Dungeon. How's everybody doing? I hope y'all had a productive weekend. You know what I'm saying? Me, I've been kicking it like a donkey who trying to smell funky. What about that mean? Again, I'm funky. With that being said,
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know. Don't judge me. You know I'm weird. Got my wonderful co-host, Sylvette.
Sylvette.
How you been?
Hello. I've been good. I've been enjoying this 3-day weekend, and I got out of work early on Friday, so I've been thoroughly enjoying myself.
Nice, nice, nice. You
hmm
well, Labor Day weekend. Had any plans?
No, that's the point of the holiday. You just do nothing. You
You ain't going
rest.
to no cookouts?
No.
Nothing. All right. Hey,
I
listen.
had all summer. I had all summer. I'm ready to just have a day of me, No work, no labor, just enjoying myself.
Oh, he said myself.
Myself.
No, you good. You good. You know what I'm saying? So let's get right into it. All right. So we're gonna be talking about school and book bans. Let's hop into the school. So a lot of kids went back to school this week. You know what I'm saying? How you did you see like a lot of school buses and like kids going with
Oh,
their backpacks and shit?
I saw that, and I saw the posts where people have their kid like with a little board, and I am in first grade, and blah blah blah. Like that's really cute. I saw a lot of people taking pictures of their kids outside the school gates on my way to work. I love it. I think it's adorable. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the traffic. They jamming up the streets. But other than that, it's very cute. What about you?
Yeah, I saw a lot of like back to school pictures and stuff being posted on Facebook and stuff. It took me back when my mom had be like, "You better stand still and smile." I had all
hmm
buck teeth and everything, and she put all a whole thing of fucking Vaseline on my face.
I was gonna say, do you remember? Like,
She's like, "Stand still,
you'd be
stand
like,
still, stand." I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, God, dog, I look like a
I
right, like
moisturized.
damn, I got coconut oil, shit." She put all this Vaseline on my face. I look like a
You got them
2022
all.
a penny. It was the worst. I hated that wearing tight uniform pants, everything. I hated it. I used to go to Catholic school, so it was like it was the worst.
Oof.
Yeah. So
I went to
I
a
it took,
charter school, but we did have like the blazers and stuff, so I get it.
oh, you did?
hmm
Oh damn. But
Plaid and all that.
it kind of takes me back to like I'm just thinking about my days in school and what my favorite subjects were like. So I just want to get into it. Let's just start it off. Like, what were some of your favorite subjects that you liked when you was in school?
Well, of course, my favorite was art, but every school didn't have it that I went to,
Mm.
unfortunately. So once I got to high school, we didn't really have many art pod programs. But what made up for that was English class or literature class. I think that was like the top across the board. How
Mm.
about you?
I mean, I really want to be fat and say like lunch when I was younger.
That
You know
is
what I'm
not a subject.
it is a subject to me, goddamn.
It's
But
not, you don't get graded.
okay, my stomach get graded because that goddamn spaghetti and meat sauce they had was busting. Okay, so don't judge me. So it's like no, you know what it is? It was probably English. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to, I was a kid. I used to hate reading until like my grandma gave
Mhm.
me a comic book, and like she made me like get into comics and stuff like that. And it's just like ever since then, I was always the one like with graphic novels and stuff like that. And then English,
Hmm.
by the time I got to high school, it just made me think because we had some cool ass English teachers. Shout out to Miss Kayla, shout out to Miss Stacy, that made you
Thanks,
become like a critical thinker and when it comes to certain novels and stuff like that. And it just taught me how to look at things not just from the surface, but try to dive deep and depth in certain things because not everything in life, as you know, is black and white. It's a lot of gray in certain subjects, and it just made me question a lot of
Mhm.
things and just not look at things from one perspective. Try to look at both sides of certain things, and I those are lessons I still think to this day when it comes to making friends, certain jobs, and dating. Like I always like try to be the critical thinker and try to be like, is it more to this? I don't like to look at things so
Mhm.
simple. So
Miss Stacy, dig deeper.
yeah, exactly. Dig deeper. I'm like, damn, that's all I got. I got 5 pages of shit. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like English was definitely mine. What was subject you hated?
Hmm. Subject I hated.
Yeah.
Probably math. Um,
Okay.
I like English and literature because you can kind of have whatever point of view you want as long as you can justify it.
Mhm.
It's whatever interpretation you think. With math, it is what it is. 1 plus 1 is 2. You can't argue. Well, I think, and from my perspective. So, yeah. Once it start adding letters and stuff into the
Oh man.
equations and all that, I was like, I don't feel that this is justified. So therefore, I think my answer is right. And it's like, nope, you lose points. And I'm like, oh well,
Yeah.
dang, this sucks.
I
So
feel
yeah,
that.
you can't talk your way out of math.
You
It
can't. You know what I'm saying?
is what it is.
I feel like it was the same for me too, like math and science, but it was always like a certain types of math and science I was good at. Like in math, I was a shit in algebra. Like algebra 1 and 2,
Hmm.
I was a beast. I was getting A's and B's in that class. And like in bio, and when it came to science, getting straight A's in that class. But when it got to geometry and trigonometry and pre-calc and all that, god damn. I was like, what's up with the trapezoid? He's a trapezoid side with
And
x plus squared,
trapezoid.
squared. I'm like, oh my God, dog. It's a fucking shape. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about
Yeah,
the trapezoid.
I think that's what it was too. Like I wasn't bad at math. I just
Yeah.
didn't care. I didn't care about it. So when it
Mhm.
got difficult, I just got frustrated. As opposed to like in English or something, like if I didn't understand something, I was interested in it, so I didn't mind like reading more into it to get to the answers or figure something out.
Yeah. You know how you ever seen Coach Carter, right?
Yes, I'm just very curious where this is
Why you
going. Yes,
blank
I
out so
have
fast? You was
Coach
like,
Carter.
what? You know,
Because I was thinking of that song. Cause we're hopeful. Like it's in slow motion and they're like Jamal went on to get a full scholarship, like the freeze frame. Like that's what I was thinking about when
oh
you
my
said it.
God, so fat. But but you know that part when he was seeing the test papers and he was just throwing like the papers on how mad he was getting.
Yeah.
That's how frustrated I used to get with math. I look like Samuel Jackson throwing the papers, dog. Like, no, no, no.
Were you the kid where the teacher was passing back the test and they would give yours face down? Was
Hell
that
yeah, I
you?
was that kid. Don't judge me neither. Hell yeah. That she be like, Mr. Rob be like, hey, good job, Joe. We're proud of you. Brandon, nice job. He gets to my desk. He slid that joint slowly. Talk to me after class. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
I'm oh, you mother.
Everyone did great. Almost everyone.
Right. He's asking, some of us need to study more. I'm like, why you so loud? Why you so loud though?
Ooh.
Right, you know what I'm saying? I passed, damn it. I ain't getting left back or nothing like that. I end up getting a C in math.
That's all that matters.
Exactly. But I want to talk about something else too when it comes to going back to school, because there was a few schools like that weren't even able to open up on time because of like little things and sort of like air conditioning and stuff like that. Yeah, so that the kids couldn't even go back to the schools and stuff like that. And it's just like it's like predominantly black schools. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like public schools and stuff.
Yeah, so it's just like it's stuff like that. Don't you think like people should be prepared when it comes to stuff like this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had a whole what, a year and a half, 2 years of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So of course students weren't out of schools the whole duration of the pandemic, but there was a good chunk of time spent with virtual learning. So that right there is like, okay, there's no kids there in the building, so you can do the maintenance. There's no excuse why you can't do it. Like you have the preparation, you know they're coming back. You have the whole summer to gear up for the kids coming back. So there's really no reason. It's not like everyone just found out they were in school yesterday and that the kids are coming tomorrow. Like you knew this. So it's I don't understand what how that happened.
Plus, I feel like the parents should that be something they should look into. Like, yo, so is we my kids starting or no? That shouldn't be something that you should look into last minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That should be
And
something
how
you
does
should
that
know.
affect the school year? Like I know some schools, if there's snow days and things like that, they'll add days towards the end of the year to make up for the time they missed. But like, how are they going to make up the time that they missed in the beginning?
Hmm. Exactly.
Is that going to get added into it?
I don't know. I don't know. But you know how public schools is. We try. They would make up any excuse to like to get the kids to leave as soon as possible by the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, we'll just
Let
take
it
another
be.
holiday.
Let it be a sports stadium or something that they want to open. That's a different conversation for a different day, but let it be a different project for the city. And I bet you they'll have it up and running in a timely manner. So I don't see why you can't put that same urgency into schools where children go to learn. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
exactly. Ah, that's facts. You know what I'm saying? Keep that same energy when it comes to things that actually matter. So, but
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain about kids out here acting reckless or whatever when the one place that they're guaranteed they should be able to go, they can't because of something like an air conditioner isn't working. So
facts.
stupid.
That's facts. But it's like now I guess we can get into like the banned books because this has been like a touchy topic that's been going on for a while. You know what I'm saying? I've just been here
Yeah.
for a few months, but this has been going on longer than I expected. So you want to introduce that?
Okay.
Oh,
Well, um, so it is kind of hard to um say how many books now are being banned for the new school year because it hasn't happened yet, so you can't really measure it. But I did do some research, and according to the American Library Association, which is pretty much the organization that keeps track of what books are banned or challenged to be banned, they recorded that last school year, so 2021, that are over 1,500 books were up considered to be banned and or I'm sorry, 729 books and over 1,500 titles were considered to be banned as of last year, which was more than any year since the organization started recording this information in 2000. So they've been around for like 21 years, and right now this is the highest amount of books that are being banned or challenged to be banned across the United States and school districts. So I guess it has a lot to do with the social climate now, the political and social climate in America. It has a lot of influence on the books that are being banned or at least being considered for it because a lot of the titles deal with things like racism or gender identity, anti Semitism, stuff like that, which a lot of parents think too touchy a subject to talk about in school. They shouldn't be options or available part of the curriculum at all.
you know my opinion though on that stuff though. That makes me like kind of like raise my eyebrows. I think
But
is especially when you look at this generation, school is one of the only places that kids can really go to learn because like I guess like you would think our parents and and their grandparents, all that stuff, like if when they went home and stuff like that, but oh you better pick up a book, you better not jump on that TV and stuff like that. But it's like in this generation,
mm-hmm.
these parents are not telling their kids to like pick up a book or like, oh no, you better finish that homework first and stuff like that. It's like school is the only place where kids can really go to learn about these things, about like what racism is or what gender identity is. So it's like when you think about no, we
Yeah.
shouldn't talk about this. It's like okay, you can say they shouldn't talk about it, but if they don't learn about it at school, where else they gonna learn about it? Because it's not like if you think about a single mom that's raising two kids on her own and that she got to pull a night shift, she ain't gonna have time to teach them kids what about racism or their history. She just not. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I feel like you kind of being petty talking about, oh yeah, I don't think that's appropriate to talk about. It's like, well, if we talking about racism and stuff, why isn't it? Because it's not like racism ain't a real thing today.
Yeah. And it's also important too because books show other people's perspectives. Like, sure, we're black and we have our experiences as far as racism and things like that, and I'm sure other people do too. But it's different to read an account of someone who experienced it from like the 1800s, or they have an experience that we wouldn't experience today because we weren't there. So how are we supposed to know history or important events that happen to people and understand the significance and how we can be better or learn from those things if you don't want to read about it. I understand it might be sensitive topics or things that make you feel uncomfortable, but if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it's probably because it's something that needs to be discussed to
Yeah,
figure out why it makes you uncomfortable.
yeah,
So it's like hiding or putting a band-aid over something than rather addressing it as it should be. And like kids aren't stupid. Kids understand certain topics and themes and they understand how to empathize and sympathize with it. And I don't think if you talk to the kids about the Holocaust or slavery, like, oh God, you broke them. I think that they'll get it because I got it when I learned about it in school. Like, I wasn't traumatized.
yeah.
I felt terrible knowing, learning these things and oh, that's crazy, that's messed up. But it gave me that understanding of like why it's important to know these things and why it's important to be a certain kind of person so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen again.
Facts. And it's like you said before, since we both black, our experience growing up black is something that we already know from jump. But like kids that aren't black
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, if they don't really get to read about and learn about racism in school and stuff, I'm not gonna lie to you, I rarely hear about kids, especially when they're young, get told that they had conversations like at 8 or 9 about systematic racism. You know what I'm saying? Like as
Mm-hmm.
black kids, like we really don't get those conversations off the jump as soon as like we turn 7 or 8. But like for the most part, like at a young age, you know that you get treated differently as a black person versus a white person or age. You get what I'm saying? So that's a
Yeah.
conversations that you
I
already
mean, the
know.
Sesame Place
Oh, yeah,
conversation we
that
had.
yeah, them little kids know now. Elmo going crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you said, like school is a place where you get to read about certain topics and certain lessons from a different perspective. So if you don't know anything about what it's like to be black or a Jewish or something like that, it's your chance to learn about it and sympathize with it. You know what I'm saying? Because then
Mm-hmm.
people wonder why motherfuckers like grow up entitled or like not being grown up ignorant to certain things. Because if you don't teach them, they'll never know. You get what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that's something I had to learn too, because when I was in school, like when I got to college and stuff like that, I got asked dumbass questions about black on culture and shit like that. I'm like, oh, like you've been watching BET? What? Like, is that's what you think black people is? Like, you know what I'm saying? They must have been watching reruns of Good Times or something. But like, I also understand they come from a different culture and a different like environment where they never really had a lot of black people around, and they didn't really get to
Mm-hmm.
learn about black history. So it's like, how could they know? So
There are um like books that are always consider either banned or are challenged to be banned, they always end up becoming like classics or they make people want to read them more because everyone's like, what is the big deal? Why are they banned? And some of the books that are always a part of that list are books like Lord of the Flies or 1984
mhm.
or The Handmaid's Tale, which is one of my favorites in high
That's one of my
school.
favorites too.
Um,
That's tough.
the Diary of Anne Frank, which I'm kind of shocked by, but also the graphic novel version of it, and The Hate You Give. Have you read
Well, what's it called?
that? The Hate You Give?
No, I heard about the movie though. Is it similar to the
Yeah,
movie? Is it like good? It's better
pretty
than
much.
okay.
I mean, usually always is. The book is
Uh,
usually always
uh,
better.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But those are always Huckleberry Finn, even if you want to take it way back. Um, but
I'm sorry.
those are some of the titles that what
No, the
what I
reason I
said
made that
it.
face because every time I think you know I'm about to get at when I say Huckleberry Finn, because I used to hate reading that book. You know what I'm saying? Because like, especially if you had somebody white in the classroom, because they say read out loud. I'm like, please
Oh,
don't choose the white kid. Please don't choose that white kid. And the white kid, it's like a white kid is waiting, like he just got called in the game by coach. He was like, "Don't worry, teach, I got this." Nigga, I was like, "Oh,"
who? I don't.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
never actually read that in school. That was not on the reading list for us, but I have heard that it was controversial for that reason. Do you agree? Like if a parent group came up to your school and they said, "Oh, we need to ban this," or "This shouldn't be a part of the curriculum," would you agree with it?
I guess it depends on what book it is because like if it's like a book that's not really necessary to teach a certain lesson, I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. But if it's like a joint where it's like, okay, yeah, it might the language is probably like a little foul, but it's also teaching an important lesson. I don't see why not. Like, let's choose like The Handmaid's Tale, something like that. First of all, it's nonfiction, right? So it's,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
but it's like the topics that talk about is like what, you know what I'm saying? It talks
Hmm.
about like women being oppressed and stuff like that. It just shows you like how the corrupt the system is in their world, like how depression can lead to suicide, like stuff like that, like certain things that still affect us today. You know what I'm saying? Or are we
Hmm.
talking about like 1984, talking about racism and stuff? You get what I'm saying? So like certain books need to be discussed, whether you like it or not, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the language. It matters like did the kid get the message? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And like it's like you said before, it's like not everything you learn is going to be pretty like you think. It's not going to be like a Harry Potter book. It's like, oh, flying dragons, friendship.
Even that, even Harry Potter has been considered for it to be like, some school districts ban that because it's like witchcraft and wizardry.
It's just I feel like people just get. I hate to say it, people kind of getting soft with certain things. It's like certain things that like you shouldn't be able to like depict from what's like reality versus just fiction. You get what I'm saying? Like fantasy and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't get why people are so like in their feelings about like, oh, our kids shouldn't be learning about these certain topics because they teach them how to do this. No, you know what I'm saying? Talking about I don't want my kids knowing about racism. You mean that thing that's been around for over 400 years? That's the thing you don't want your kid to know about? Or you talk or what's another book though? The one who flew over the cuckoo's nest. Remember that book?
Yes.
I talk about suicide and depression and like you know what I'm saying? Like certain
To
things
Kill a
that
Mockingbird.
yeah, that happen today. Especially when you talk about depression in our generation and suicide. Certain things that kids will need to know about. You know what I'm saying? Kids need to sometimes certain like texts I feel like kids need to read not just for their enjoyment, but to know when they're dealing with it too. Because if you read a
Hmm.
book and you like, oh damn, that's this character I can relate to. They're going through depression. Am I going through depression? You get what I'm saying? You might never
Yeah.
know until you actually read about it. Like, damn, I never saw the signs until I read this text. So it's like it can be helpful. I don't think you should really ban books.
Well, the thing with that too is most people would think, oh, well, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. You should be able. You can't ban a book like that's you're
Yeah,
suppressing expression. But when it comes to school districts, they kind of have their own jurisdiction to decide how they want to go about what they have in the curriculum, what they don't. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that the First Amendment should just extend to school districts no matter what? Or do you think it's good that they have their own control depending, like each school district has their own control over what is a part of the curriculum?
I don't think should really matter because, like, the end of the day, whether you tell a kid not to read a book in class or at home, they're gonna read it. It's kind of like when you tell a kid not to do something, like you better not do it. Like I'm gonna do it anyway. They're gonna do it anyway. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like if they told me not to read a book about racism because it's too touchy, well, whether they're gonna read it there or at home, they're gonna read it or they're gonna learn about it. So it's just like you trying to keep them from like learning about it because you don't feel comfortable about it doesn't really solve the problem, in my opinion. And can I ask on something too? Like, let me put this out there. The parents that are saying they try to ban certain books, this is like, are you teaching your kids at home? Are you recommending books for your kids to read? Because a lot, I hear a lot of parents saying they don't want their kids reading this book in school, but when they get home, it's like, okay, you finish your homework, you can play
Yeah,
that
what do
video
you
game.
read?
What you say?
It's like, yeah, what do you read then if you don't?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, what can kids read? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you recommending your kid read then if they can't read books in school? It's like, are you giving them books to read? Are you sitting down and having certain talks to them about certain books that are appropriate? Or you just be like, I don't like this book because I feel like, and that's the end of it. So how they gonna learn?
I did read an article where a parent made a fair point where they said, um, some parents just don't feel comfortable with their kids learning about certain things at a certain age, or like they'd rather be the ones to talk to them about it instead of them learning about it in school. So if that's the case, then they can pull their child, do go the individual route and like take the measures so that maybe your child doesn't have to learn this lesson or whatever. But it's not fair to try to extend that to every kid just because
Yeah.
your kid, you don't feel like they should be a part of it. It's kind of like, to me, it's like the same with the whole like the sex and frogs or something in school. Like I think we did that in school, but I didn't do it because I got, I was like, I don't want to do that. And my parents were like, okay,
Yeah.
and that's it. So like, you can do that. Sure, you be the obnoxious parent that's like a headache for the teachers and the administration and stuff. But like, I don't think it's fair to try to impose your will on every kid because you personally feel like, oh, I don't think my kids should learn it, so no one else should either. And I also think parents should do their part too. You can't just rely on the school to teach your child everything and then blame them when they're teaching them things. Like you have to step
Mhm.
up and do your part too, and educate them at home. You can't just put them in school and think that's it, my job's done.
Exactly. You can't complain about the problem and don't have a solution for it. You know what I'm saying? Talking about our kids don't need to be reading these books. These are too controversial. Okay, Karen. So what you gonna do when you get home? Well, I'm gonna watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm gonna drink some wine and go to sleep. So you're not gonna teach your kids nothing? I mean, no, that's the school's job. Okay, so let the school do their fucking job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
So it's like I
Or
don't.
like you do your due diligence and find a school that like, accommodates what you want and teaches what you want them to learn, or homeschool them or something like that. But to try to like, I don't know, I really love literature and I just feel like to try to erase books that are important, it's as a society, it kind of lessens us too, because if we don't read things like Lord of the Flies or The Color Purple or To Kill a Mockingbird or things like that, and we don't get these lessons and these themes, then where are we supposed to get them?
Mhm.
And like the world is kind of trash sometimes, and like it's reflected in the literature. And yeah,
Exactly.
it sucks to read it, but that's if you read it, it motivates you to try to be better. And if
Hmm.
you don't, then you're just oblivious to what's happening around you. So it doesn't really make sense to me. And I guess also too, like as an aspiring actor, you have to have a point of view about everything in order to do your job well. And you can't have a point of view about something if you don't know about it. And you gotta read and you gotta look at things from other perspectives and read stories from people who were there or who weren't there, but they still have feelings about it and they want to express it to other people. It's just what's so scary about that?
Exactly.
If it's not something that you agree with, then you can just poop, anywhere in one ear, not the other. But don't
Exactly.
try to pretend it is like get rid of it altogether.
Plus, I feel like it's detrimental for kids not to know history. You know what I'm saying? Because like we can say that
Hmm.
it can be controversial all you want to, but at the end of the day, certain things like 1984 or like the color purple, certain things that have like historical things or themes that kids need to know about. So like you telling me a group of kids shouldn't learn about things that happen in their history just because you don't feel comfortable about it? I wish a teacher was saying I don't feel comfortable teaching about racism. Like, what?
Yeah, like or 1984 was about like the whole Big Brothers watching thing. So like being an individual and
Yeah,
not conforming and critical thinking and thinking for yourself, not just falling into the group mentality. Why is that so bad?
exactly.
Lord of the Flies. It's dangerous to give into mob rule. Okay, yeah, I'm sad that Piggy died too, but it was a good book and I learned a lot, Just
Exactly. He said, I don't give a fuck. R.I.P. Piggy, damn it.
I mean, spoiler alert, but I mean, it's still a good book.
Exactly. And like I said before, like whether you try to ban books or not, kids are going to learn about this shit anyway because we got social media and internet now. You know what I'm saying? So you can ban books. So what you want to do? Like if they ain't gonna find it there, most likely they just going to Spark Notes or Wikipedia that motherfucker be like, oh, it's about that. Now I really gotta read the book now. See
How
how
you
that
gonna be
problem
mad at a kid for reading a book? Like,
is? Look at this kid reading, heathen. Like the fuck? Like what's wrong with you? Like it's weird how people are. It's like just when you think shit can get more sensitive, like talking about I don't know, things can be touchy in this book. It's like yeah, well, a lot of things can be touchy in life, but here we are still dealing with it day by day.
and I would, even though I don't have children, if I had kids and they were young, I would rather them be exposed to certain things indirectly through reading it than to them actually having to experience it. I
Facts.
don't want my child to have to like be go through like a racist experience or like something traumatic happens to them, they get into a fight or somebody does something to them, and that's their introduction to that, not they
Exactly.
read it in a book, and I don't know, I just feel like that's a way better way to learn a lesson,
Exactly. It
like for
is.
that age than for them to like go through the trenches and like that's you don't
Exactly.
have to go through that.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to learn the lesson the hard way in order to get an introduction to racism. You get what I'm saying? It's like that
Yeah.
should be something you should have a talk. Or matter of fact, like if you don't feel comfortable the kid reading about it, just have them sit down and talk to them about it. You get what I'm saying? And that's just
Right.
and well, that's not even like books about racism. That's about any topic that you don't feel comfortable talking about or your kid reading about. If you don't want them to read about it, then how come you just don't talk to them about it? Because you just can't keep making excuses why these school districts ain't doing what they supposed to. I'm spending all this money on this school just for my kid to be reading this. Okay, if you don't want them learning about it or them teaching it, then you teach your kid then. Stop making excuses about your kids not learning anything about learning certain topics if you're not going to put in the work to teach them.
Hmm.
I'm just saying.
If you don't like it, do it yourself.
Exactly. Message. Boy. So that's what I got about that. You got anything else? You had to think about it.
I mean, yeah, because I didn't want to say like no, and then 2 seconds later, I'm like, actually no, and then I go on this big thing. But no, I think I said about all I needed to say.
That's cool. So I guess to wrap it up, what the moral of the story is, parents, if you feel so uncomfortable about your kids reading a certain book, then just teach them or have a sit down talk with your kids about that certain topic. Don't just go keep on trying to campaign to ban certain books from schools because just because you feel uncomfortable with it, there's a lot of kids that will enjoy that book or need to learn this
Yeah.
lesson.
And not to be cliche, but like books take you everywhere. Like they take you any time in history, any place in the world, places that don't even exist. You meet all kinds of people. Like that's important. And it's like fun. Like I don't understand
I feel like
what
you
the
just had a
deal is
reading
with.
rainbow moment.
I mean, it is. Like it really is. And it's dangerous. I don't know. I just think it's dangerous to take it away because you're taking away different perspectives that could really benefit a kid or anybody. So that's all. See,
Rainbow.
ding. You know what? Shut up. Books are magical, all right?
Damn, books are magical. Damn it.
They
But
are.
with that being said, I go by the name of Steph Urkel.
I'm Sylvette.
And this has been another episode of Millennial Dungeon. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Ergo.